A camping party atop a fallen tree at the Sequoia National Park in California, 1917. A construction worker making preparations for the removal of the original Statue of Liberty torch in 1985. The old torch went on a tour of the U.S. before it was moved to the Statue of Liberty Museum. The completed Twin Towers of World Trade Center viewed from the Hudson River, July 1974. Maori Man from Hawke's Bay District, photographed in 1870 by Samuel Carnell. Tamoko is the name for the permanent body and face marking by Maori, the indigenous people of New Zealand. Egypt, Luxor Temple, 1950, a guide pointing out hieroglyphs. Thunderbirds crammed below deck, USS James O'Hara, 1943. His way to Harlem, New York City, 1970. Photo by Camilo Jose Vergara. A Martin B-26. Marv in America bombs a place near Germany during World War II, 1945. This aircraft was manufactured by the Glenn L. Martin Company factory in the United States of America and was used for the first time on November 25, 1940. In the early 1900s, a steam train carrying a heavy load of lumber came to a halt atop a trestle bridge, crossing a tributary branch of the Northern Pacific Railroad. The train's powerful engine, billowing thick plumes of smoke into the sky, stood still on the bridge's wooden structure, its wheels creaking slightly under the weight of the cargo. Below, the tributary wound through a forested valley, its waters shimmering in the sunlight. The trestle bridge, an impressive feat of engineering, was constructed of thick timber and iron supports, rising high above the water below. The rhythmic chug of the steam engine had been a constant, as the train made its way through the rugged landscape, hauling the valuable lumber to distant mills and towns. As the train paused on the bridge, the stillness of the moment contrasted with the power and movement of the locomotive, creating a snapshot of industrial progress amidst nature's beauty. Two men participating in a motorcycle chariots race, 1925. Test driving a BMW Isetta, a minicar from 1955. Hotel Astor, New York City, 1909. The building was razed in 1967 to make way for the high-rise office tower 1 Astor Plaza. The Zeppelin era peaked with Hindenburg. A mechanic checks an engine during a 1936 flight. The forgotten era of airships via old photos. The second person to survive going over the Niagara Falls. Bobby Leach later died of complications caused by slipping on an orange peel at the age of 69. Pictured. Bobby Leach and his barrel after his trip over Niagara Falls, 1911. Mount St. Helens photographed from the same spot 1 day before and 4 months after erupting. 1980. The medical center's IBM 7904 mainframe computer system, circa 1969. The entire computer once took up almost half a building. The other half was the air conditioning. A Subway chocolate vending machine that dispensed chocolate for a penny, New York, 1953. Enzo Ferrari in his first ever race as a professional driver for CMN Costruzioni Meccaniche Nazionali Parma Poggio di Berceto Hill Climb Race, 1919. He finished fourth. Adolf Hitler in Paris in 1940. This photograph, taken in the midst of World War II after Hitler had occupied the French capital, Paris, shows Hitler observing his recently captured booty, surrounded by many of his closest generals and aides. It was one of the most iconic images of both the 1940s and World War II. Sometimes real life can be scarier than the supernatural. In the mid-20th century, Americans created fake cities known as death cities in the Nevada desert in order to test the effects of nuclear explosions on populated areas. In fact, the United States dropped a 16-kiloton bomb on one of these cities to determine whether wooden-framed houses, cars, and human dummies would survive such a nuclear blast. Photographing the dead became popular in England when the early advent of photography coincided with the short lives of individuals, and this fashion was also known as memento mori pictures, meaning remember that you will die. The death of a family member was often the only occasion on which a family would take a group photo, as photography was still rare and families did so to commemorate and memorialize their dead. A picture of the city of Giza and the Great Pyramids of Egypt in 1904. This is probably the most famous photo of the first moon landing in history. It was taken on July 20th, 1969, but it doesn't actually show the first man to set foot on the moon, Neil Armstrong. It actually shows the second man to do so, Buzz Aldrin. Armstrong's reflection can be seen in Aldrin's helmet. What happened then was that Armstrong was the person in charge of the camera, and therefore all the pictures of the moon landing on the Apollo 11 mission showed Aldrin and not Armstrong. Flying Monkey Costume Test Wizard of Oz, 1939. This image, titled The Amazing Story of Auschwitz Escapees, refers to a historical moment that shows the courage of prisoners in the face of the Nazi regime during World War II. An exhausted nanny poses with her young charge named Farrokh Bulsara. A quarter of a century later, he would adopt the pseudonym of Freddie Mercury. Zanzibar, 1947. School children holding their hands over their hearts while reciting the Pledge of Allegiance in a classroom, circa 1960. People watching a television set for the first time at Waterloo Station, London, 1936. Testing cars on the roof of the Fiat factory in 1929. Lingotto, Turin, Italy. Gold miners near Spanish Flat, California, 1852. A Great Depression Christmas dinner in home of Earl Pauley near Smithfield, Iowa, 1936. The dinner consisted of potatoes, cabbage, and pie. Two men participating in a motorcycle chariots race, 1925. Test driving a BMW Isetta, a minicar from 1955. Hotel Astor, New York City, 1909. The building was razed in 1967 to make way for the high-rise office tower 1 Astor Plaza. The Zeppelin era peaked with Hindenburg. A mechanic checks an engine during a 1936 flight. The forgotten era of airships via old photos. The second person to survive going over the Niagara Falls. Bobby Leach later died of complications caused by slipping on an orange peel at the age of 69. Pictured. Bobby Leach and his barrel after his trip over Niagara Falls, 1911. Mount St. Helens photographed from the same spot 1 day before and 4 months after erupting. 1980. The Medical Center's IBM 7904 mainframe computer system, circa 1969. The entire computer once took up almost half a building. The other half was the air conditioning. A Subway chocolate vending machine that dispensed chocolate for a penny, New York, 1953. Enzo Ferrari in his first ever race as a professional driver for CMN Costruzioni Meccaniche Nazionali Parma Poggio di Berceto Hill Climb Race, 1919. He finished 4th.